Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Loyalist. It's Colts Law. That's right. I've been busy, man. I have been pumping content as much as I freaking humanly possibly can, because there's just so much to really get put out there, right? Don't forget, guys, I'm back on Newsbreak. I am throwing Newsbreak exclusives out there, so go check that out. I think the link is still in the description. And also, I'm not 100% sure. Please smash that like button, as Loyalist put in the comments earlier. I went ahead and pinned that. Hit that like button. It helps with the analytics a ton, helps other people get in here so that more people can watch. And if you're not subscribed and have not hit that notification bell and made sure all notifications are turned on, do not wait. Do so now, because there is going to be so much content coming out, not just regular stuff like this, but like exclusive interviews and stuff that I have scheduled for next week, one-on-one interviews at camp. Okay. Can't tell you who or when. They're marked down in the books. All right. Guys, thank you so much for everything that everybody has been doing and coming back and showing us the love that you've been giving. We notice and we appreciate it. But let's get in. Apparently, Loyalist, you didn't see this.
No, I did not.
Oh, my goodness. See, guys, I'm telling you, I look everywhere. I saw something today, and I was like, oh, that's what my live stream's going to be about. I could talk about this forever. It's exactly what the thumbnail and the description of the video is. Check this out. Listen carefully.
The differences in the defense and how's it going in camp so far?
The main thing is just like really up front, you know what I mean, incorporating the 9 technique, you know, moving from a 6 to a 9 for the DN, so they can really tee off, especially on play action pass, you know, to have a better chance of getting to the quarterback from a 9. And, you know, just really up front, you know, really getting the guys that just come off the ball, really, you know what I mean? That's the whole emphasis, especially up front, is attacking, you know what I mean? Just penetrating the line and cleaning it up early so that the linebackers just scrape over the top. So it's really fun to play in, for sure. It's, you know, you're playing the run on the way to the quarterback.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
So the Colts, they bring in Nate Ollie as the defensive line coach, spent some time with Jim Schwartz in Philadelphia and Robert Saleh. So what are some of the similarities, if there are any, from what you learned and how you played in San Francisco?
I'm gonna be honest, like almost everything. I'm like 99.9. Everything that I've done in San Francisco, he's teaching the whole D-line.
Really? So
it is insane.
Carryover's the same.
From drills, the way, you know, we operate and everything, communication on third down. I mean, just little things, especially like third down. I mean, everything's just like to a T.
Yeah.
You know, everything's the same. It's unbelievable.
Man, I heard that come out of Deforest Buckner's mouth, and I got so excited. So excited. Think about this. There was a reason I wanted the Colts to go after the defensive line coach in San Francisco, okay? There was a reason, all right, because of the energy, the scheme, the way they move guys around. Nate Ollie served under Robert Saleh over at the Jets last year, and apparently learned everything from Robert Saleh and brought that with him to the Colts. All right. Robert Saleh, of course, being the DC for the San Francisco 49ers for so long. So apparently we've got the exact same scheme for the defensive line that the 49ers have. That is huge. I didn't realize that it was that much of a similarity. Like for DeForest Buckner to go, it's exactly the same as when I was in San Francisco. What does that make? How does that make you feel hearing that?
Well, that's awesome, because you remember how productive DeForest was there in San Francisco, and like you said, now you sit there and you accompany that with Yannick Ngakoue and year 2 Kwity Paye. I mean, not to mention Grove there, he's got to be loving that. I mean, yeah, he's like, wait a minute, you mean I actually get to go and just full throttle at the quarterback? I mean, we heard him talk in the interview the other day about how, he's like, yeah, he's fast, but I'm faster. And he is. I mean, Grover's off the ball is still just top tier, what I mean? So, and then you hear about how the linebackers are going to be coming scraping off. I'm like, can you imagine that speed and Shaq, almost did Shaq Leonard, and Bobby Okereke, just getting out there and using that speed. And then, like you said, we've seen that little bit of jostling in the depth chart, and now it's making a little bit more sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've talked about how the defense, you and I, we've seen it at camp, right? The defense has pretty much had the offensive number for the majority of the camp when it comes to team reps, right? When it comes to the team drill, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11, stuff like that. And a lot of it, especially against the run. I mean, from what I saw, that defensive line, that front seven is very good against the run. And that's what was scaring you, honestly, right?
Yeah.
Because of the scheme change, how good are they going to be against the run? But apparently this whole fire off the ball thing that Robert Saleh teaches for the defensive line, go after the quarterback, get the run on the way to the quarterback. Apparently the disruption in the backfield helps a ton against the run, and it's producing.
Yeah, and to your point about training camp, we saw yesterday, especially, Defo got his hand on 2 passes for Matt Ryan, and then, gosh darn it, sorry, give me a minute. Odengbo, he sat there and got his hand on a Nick Foles pass, was batting it around, what I mean? So it's like, hey, if these quarterbacks are under that much duress, you get those long limbs and stuff, and stick those big old hands up there that those guys have. I mean, it's not going to be an easy day at the office for any quarterback, I would think.
Absolutely. Guys, go ahead, drop any questions you might have. We'll get to it here in a little bit. I just want to thank everybody that's in the live chat right now. Chaz, John Davis, Marquis Beverly, Speed Maverick. Real quick, the Speed Maverick says, guys, your package is showing to be delivered tomorrow. He 3D printed a beautiful Colts emblem for us. It'll be here apparently tomorrow. So definitely next time we go live, you'll be able to see it. Thank you a lot, Speed. Appreciate that. Denver Kroger, Zach Erlinson, obviously Colts Nation 365, Nomadic, what's up? And Gary Thompson. Look, the fact that they're running this type of scheme is one thing, but the other thing that I was really excited about, and it was because mainly getting rid of the previous, Brian Baker, right? I wanted rotation, right? That's what was, because that hurt us so much last year. Fourth quarter meltdowns happen because your guys are not fresh and cannot play well. How many fourth quarter breakdowns did we have last year on defense? It was stupid.
That Ravens one still, I know we had some bad losses. I know, against Clown Town was bad, but man, that Ravens one just really, especially after the year before, it just really, to me, was very, very frustrating, and like you said, these guys were just running out of gas. It's like Lamar wasn't running all over us. No, he was just sitting in the pocket for 5-6 seconds and then finding the open target, against a secondary that was decimated with injuries. So it was just like, I don't want to see any more of that. And from what I understand, like you said, you're going to have to keep these guys fresh. In camp, it's enjoyable to watch these guys, because they sit there and they take turns and they'll do one-on-one, but you just see, whether it's, Eric Johnson in this, first step and then turns into a blistering fast spin move, or if it's Defo just doing what Defo does all the time, yeah. And like I said, these quarterbacks are not having these clean lanes to throw through. And then, like to your point, the run defense, I was really worried about the run defense. Well, I would argue that you could ask JT or Naheem or Philip Lindsay. It has not been easy sledding for the run game whatsoever. And I mean, that's even behind Quentin and Ryan Kelly, even on the interior and stuff. It's just been a lot of work. And that's good for both sides of it. Yeah, you don't want to hear that, but they'll figure it out on the offensive side. But that defensive side, it's going to take this offense weeks and weeks to figure out our defense. Well, most of these teams aren't going to have that time.
Absolutely. And, honestly, I've said this multiple times. I would love, I want to see the defense winning early in camp. Always. It's important. If the defense isn't winning early in camp, there's something wrong with it. Okay. That's how I look at it. Defense always has the upper hand early on. The offense, once they start to get to gel and understand, as you said, the defense, through preseason, going into the regular season, that's when the offense should start to kind of get a handle on it a little bit. But it also has a lot to do with talent, right? I mean, this defense is stacked. I mean, stacked with talent. And it's not just the starters. We're stacked, with depth, right? I mean, if we have, let's say we have a safety go down, right? I mean, we got McLeod that can come in and step up, in case, Blackman or Cross goes down. Not that we want to see something like that, if Gilly goes down or Faison goes down, we've got Rogers and we got Tell,
I'm glad you mentioned him because Tell flashed really nicely yesterday, and then today wasn't pad, so it wasn't quite as, but he did have a nice little breakup. And that's the thing, this secondary, they haven't been getting all these interception, but man, they're getting their hands on every one of these passes. You see every once in a while where there's a double move where they bite too soon or something. But for the most part, I mean, all these receptions are contested. And if that's how we're starting off now, and just, you heard Kenny Morris, I think it was either yesterday or today, was talking about how he wanted to get more familiar, and he felt like missing that little bit of time during spring sort of set him back, and he had to catch up. So now you get Kenny Moore on track, and then you get, like everybody's heard, I'm sure, how well Gilly's been doing, and Roger, he's today even, he got into this wrestling match with Mo Alley Cox of all people, and he was like, he did not let the catch happen, and I was just like, that's impressive. So these guys, and you get that immense pressure, and like you said, that, oh man, this defense is going to be special, really special. I was reading a tweet that you put out earlier today, just before I got on, and it said something like, do you think the Colts, and you gave them like a poll and stuff, and the one option was, or do you think that they're going to be a number one? That's not as far-fetched as, at first I read that and I'm like, the Colts, a number one defense? Come on. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not saying that that's where they will be, but I'm telling you right now, top 3, top 5 is looking more and more like it's almost, I wouldn't want to say a done deal, but it's going to be very, very realistic.
Yeah, all we need to do, we've got good coverage guys in the secondary right now. If our pass rush can get to the passers, and in the AFC, that's what's most important right now, right? Obviously, you want to be able to stop the run against teams like the Titans or the Patriots or, the Steelers or something like that, or, but really, it's the quarterbacks in that passing game that we have to worry about, especially looking over there at the AFC West and, Jacksonville. I hate to say it, but yes, even Jacksonville, those are the Cowboys. The Cowboys got a heck of a passing game, right? We've got to pay attention to that as well. This is a situation where we got to be able to rush the passer, and with, now obviously we don't have the same defense exactly as the Niners had a couple years ago when Deforest was there. The defensive line scheme is the same, but Robert Saleh was the one calling the plays, and he liked to do a lot of blitzing, and Gus Bradley's not a big blitzer type guy. But from what I'm understanding, there's going to be a lot of man coverage called because of the players we have on the team in our coverage, in our secondary, that he's expected to play a lot more man coverage than what he's used to doing in his past. And that's going to help a ton because in zone, you have passes where those quick outs, you could just hit those little quick slants and stuff where receivers are just running through someone's zone. You see a little open spot right there, bam, get the pass out real quick. You just small chunks over and over and over, with death by 1,000 cuts, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, making the quarterbacks throw for 92% completion rates because
right.
Everything's 3 yards in and out.
But in this coverage, it's going to be a little bit different. You're not going to have that in tight bump and run man coverage. You a better chance to get downfield plays, but the short little quick plays are a little bit harder to come by when you're playing bump and run man coverage, which means you're going to be giving the secondary will be giving the defensive line more time to make a play on the quarterback and force him to throw bad throws. And that's what I think this defense is built to do right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think, first off, you're spreading out into the 9, tag positions. So now that gives these guys a little more room to operate, whether it's Deforest or Eric Johnson or Grover or whatever. But the thing is like I said, they're getting their hands on these balls. I think most of us would agree that the Titans are one of our largest concerns because winning the division, that's first and foremost. You know what I mean? And the thing is what does Tannehill hate? You know what I mean? He's like every other quarterback. But the thing is okay, if Tannehill doesn't give it to Derrick Henry, he doesn't have the weapons that he had last year. And the thing is he's not going to have that clean pocket. He's not going to be able to sit there because, like I said, these long arms and these hands are all, and that quick release is not going to be there. Remember 2 years ago, Derek Carr just chewed us up. And I don't think he held the ball for longer than, 2 seconds. It seemed like, but it was just like quick release. That's not going to be there as much because all this pressure, 4 men to the ball, pushing upfield towards the quarterback. And then, like I said, getting their hands and stuff. And then you've got the added pressure of Kenny Moe and Gilly and the secondary that's now, now that it's not that wide open pitch and catch type of play. I really feel like batted balls is going to be a big increase. And generally speaking, with batted ball comes more interceptions, although we did have quite a few of those last year.
Well, we had a lot of peanut punches too. Speaking of, there are some really good questions in the chat right now. We will be getting to those in just a moment. But first, before we get into those, I just want to say, guys, thank you so much. Please don't forget to smash that like button. Just do it now. Just hit the like button, please. There's 20 of you in here. Let's see 20 likes. I'd appreciate it. It'll help me out a ton. And also, like I said, I'm back on Newsbreak with exclusive Newsbreak stuff. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. So here's the deal. All right. So real quick, I want to get into the chats. Like I said, drop them questions. All right. Drop the questions. I'll be more than happy. Loyalist and I will break down those questions, give you the best answers that we can. Joe B comes in here, says, what's up? I appreciate you. Skylar and Kirsten, this is not Believe in Colts. This is Colts Law. Make sure though, if you want one of those signed shirts that we're getting done, you go over and you do what the video says. On the specific videos that I have for Believe in Colts with myself and Gerard Powers. But all right. Chaz got a good question in here. It says, you think we'll be able to hold offenses around 2.9 average yard per carry this season in defense? A few years ago, we were really good. We were really good last year. I mean, we've been pretty good with Matt. That's what made Matt Eberflus's defense good. Teams weren't able to run against us because they held that line. They held their zone. They didn't, as Gus Bradley likes to say, fire off onto the ball. They held their gaps, especially against scrambling quarterbacks. This will be a little bit different. You're going to have a lot more, in my opinion, you're going to have a lot more tackles for loss in this type of defense, but you're also going to end up giving up some bigger plays in the run because, there will be, like what you were worried about, holes here and there, because of the firing off towards the ball.
Yeah, and the thing is I think that we're going to see more of a benefit in the pass game, but to the run game, like you said, these guys, they're going to be able to. Okay, I'm at the quarterback, and he just handed it off to Derrick Henry, and the best way to stop Derrick Henry is don't let him get that head of steam going. You know what I mean? This defense is great for that, but there again, if he exposes that, or say that somebody tries to arm tackle him, all of a sudden Derrick Henry may pop off a 7-8 yard, hopefully no more than that, because we'll have Okereke and hopefully Shaq by then back in there. But the thing is like you said, I'm more worried about what is the quarterback going to do? You know what I mean? What is the quarterback whenever everything breaks down and his world's coming to an end? That's where I'm worried about those gaps, those little gaps. And the thing is, you look at, you got Russ, who's decent at that. You got Tannehill, who's no slouch at it. I mean, who else? Mahomes. He's more of a, Murray kind of guy, bouncing around and kill you with your arm. But the thing is I do see some more bigger chunk plays just because there was next to none of those. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think – I want to say Lamar, who arguably is the best at that particular skill, was contained to like 12 yards or something like that up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, up until the fourth quarter when the defense got really tired.
So I don't think that we're going to clamp down like that, but I also think that it's going to be really hard because – of that length, like we said with Dio and Taekwon and Defo, that length. I mean, no, you don't want arm tackles, but the thing is, if they get just a little bit of that running back, and then you got Shaq just blazing in from the middle linebacker position instead of the weak linebacker's position. I mean, guys, and the thing is more turnovers, more opportunities, and whenever these opportunities are happening, it's not going to be, 12 yards down the field. No, it might be one or a couple yards in their backfield. So, yeah, I think that yards per carry average, that's a good question because the way that's worded, I don't know exactly if it would be, but I would say that it'll be better than what we had last year from what I've seen so far.
Last year, we were top 10,
mm-hmm.
Which is good. Joe B says, I'm just glad football's back. You're absolutely right, man. I am very excited. I watched over half of that Hall of Fame game before it became not interesting anymore. And that Nomadic Brian says, what does the deep safety mean? And so the Colts are going to run a single high safety a lot this year. All right. Cross, McLeod, those guys, they're going to be more box safeties apparently. From what I'm understanding of what Gus Bradley was talking about on how he's going to run his scheme quite a bit. And Blackman is going to be that dude, that deep sideline to sideline safety. And Blackman is all about, hey, let me use my speed and ability to go out there and do this, man. He's basically going to be what we was hoping Malik Hooker was going to be, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we were hoping for. That way you got more guys up near the line of scrimmage, and also you got a guy who's athletic enough to cover a tight end, right? like Nick Cross. Nick Cross will be able to cover. Now, not every tight end in the NFL is 6'8", 850 pounds, and runs like a what is that? A runaway moose or whatever they call Jelani Woods.
Yeah. You have your Kylan Gransons in there.
yeah. But that it's going to muck up things right in the center of the field having that. So that'll help out a ton. Now, does that offer the opportunity for quarterbacks, if they are not under pressure, to get big plays downfield? Yes. So it's going to be on the D line to get don't let the quarterback sit there for 5-6 seconds, right? That's something that can't happen. And, with this whole Nate Ollie teaching everyone the San Francisco 49er D-line scheme, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't, especially with the guys we have.
Absolutely, because like you said, that mucks it up for the enemy passing games and stuff. But it also, there again, helps aid in that run stopping. And I'll tell you right now, from what I've seen of Nick Cross in college and a little bit here in camp, he has no problem with sticking his nose in there and letting the running back, let the running back know, hey, you do not want to do this all day. And like you said, if that D line can get that early pressure, those long passes will not be an option because the quarterback will be on the move. The quarterback's not going to be thinking as well. Like you said, it's just that this defense has the chance to be so much more dynamic than what we've seen over the last 4 years with Eberflus. And that's saying something whenever you look at how much turnovers we had, whereas now, like I said, I think this defense is just going to be able to create those confusion moments and stuff. And it should work out to where either the D line is going to eat or the secondaries are going to eat, or heck, some of these games, it may be, we're having a smorgasbord. Everybody eats.
Right. David Abner jumps in here. What's up? Appreciate you being in here. Says, does Marcus Brady get more control of the offense? And believe it or not, I think Marcus Brady had a lot of say in last year's offense. A lot. There was a lot of RPOs, and that's what Marcus Brady loves, right? He loves the RPOs. I don't think you'll see as many RPOs with Matt. I think you're going to see a lot of play action with Matt Ryan, but not as many RPOs. Will he be calling plays? No, that's Frank Reich, 100%. And I'm okay with a head coach calling plays on one side or the other, whether it's offense or defense. I'm okay with that because that allows him to get the feel for what's going on that side of the field as it goes, right? But you gotta have guys there to be like in your ear, hey, here's where the time clock on the game clock is. Here's where this situation. We need to prepare for the 2-minute drill. Stuff. Guys there keeping him informed on stuff. That way he doesn't make any kind of side mistakes when it comes to managing a game. Last year there was a couple times when that happened.
Yeah, and I remember you had an interview with Marcus Brady where he was talking about that exact thing, where he's like, and we hear it all the time, most of the work that these guys are putting in isn't on Sunday or Monday or whenever. The work's during the week right now, and this is where Marcus Brady is really helping clean up that communication. This is where, Marcus Brady is, honestly, it's like a trifecta, the way I see it, because Matt Ryan, Coach Reich, and Brady are all going to sit there and come up with this plan and stuff. But the thing is, if Ryan's not liking something that Coach Reich's doing and he's not in a position to, say something to Coach directly, that's where Brady's going to be communicating that stuff, and the thing is he knows what Coach Reich's wants from last year and years previous. And Matt Ryan, he understands it because he studied Matt enough to know what Matt likes and stuff, because that's his job. What's your likes, what's your dislikes. And I mean, guys, if you haven't had a chance, check out on Colts.com. They've got a mic'd up, I think it's on YouTube, but it's mic'd up with Matt Ryan. And I mean, just the way they're sitting or talking about, the way he's communicating with his receivers and stuff. I mean, that's because he's already talked to Brady and Reich, and they've already got what they want. And now they're like, okay, Matt, you give it the little tweaks here and there, and it's like you sit there and you watch Pitt, and he's like, no, you cut that a little flatter or whatever, and then the next one's a beautiful, and he's like, you like that one better? I'm like, heck yeah, you better.
Yeah, that video with Matt Ryan, that it showed something that we did not have last year, and that's an alpha dog at quarterback. He is an alpha dog. He is the guy who will command the attention and respect of everyone out there on the field, right?
Quentin Nelson sat there and said today that he was like, yeah, I'll run through a wall for this guy. That not just because he's my quarterback, but just because of the type of person and everything.
Yeah. He said just because he's a guy, he's that dude, right? Guys, there's a lot of questions being dropped in here. We may not be able to get them all. If you want to make sure you want to get your question answered, feel free. You could help us out by donating to the channel. You can use the link in the description of the video right down here where it says donations. You could drop your question in with it. We'll bring it up immediately. All right. Appreciate each and every one of you. Joey B says, with Matt Ryan playing the first quarter on Saturday, is there anything specific you'd like to see from him? And I'm going to give that one to you first off.
I want to see these passes. I don't want to see, the back. I want to see that timing working out, because that's something that we've seen in camp. Is the passes are there. They're just, and the receivers are getting accused of a drop on the receiver. But there's been a few times where he just doesn't have, like if it's Naheem Hine, he just doesn't understand the speed and where he's going to be. So I want to see just more improvements. I mean, I've seen a lot today, but there again, today they weren't in pads, but I mean, today it looked very well choreographed. I mean, even the passes that were being dropped today, that it wasn't like they were, turning around and stuff. Because let's be honest, you get these big guys like Jelani Woods or, Ogletree or Mo Alley Cott. You don't want these guys having to turn and distort. No, you want to catch it right here and let them keep that momentum and stuff. And that's the things that I really want to see get cleaned up now. So the week 1, week 2, the Texans and the Jags are going to be going, "Ooh, Dad, what happened? How did they put 40 plus on us?"
Oh my goodness! If Matt Ryan, and it's not like Matt doesn't have the arm; he's got an arm. I watched him. I think him and Foles have about a similar arm when it comes to delivery and strength, right? Like arm strength, like how hard they throw the football. They look very similar in their delivery. I'm not saying that Foles is the same as Matt Ryan. There's a lot more stuff that goes into quarterbacking than just, the delivery of the football. Accuracy is one of them, and
now Foles throws a pretty deep ball.
He really does. He really does. He takes a little bit longer to throw it though, than Matt. Now, Matt's like, there it is, gone, and Foles is like, oh, that's how I see, when I'm watching. Skylar and Kirsten asked a question here. It says, is it possible that with the new players rushing the quarterback and Cross and Blackman that we have the 2000 Ravens on D? And if so, what percentage would you give that? No. Look, I am a Colts fan through and through.
Thank you.
But that 2000 Ravens D was stupid. Okay. Look, I like Blackman, but really?
Ed Reed.
You can't compare him to Ed Reed. I love Darius Shaq Leonard. All right. But we're talking about maybe the best linebacker to ever play the game, in Ray Lewis, right? There's things that could this defense be one, climb the ranks and become a legendary D? I don't see why not. Mm-hmm. But saying that, they're on that level right now, I can't do that. I can't. There's no way.
No, I mean, Blackman, 3rd year. You know what I mean? Ed Reed, I think that was, 6th year in the league?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Lewis. Now, I give a little pushback. I love Lewis. I love the energy he brought and everything. And his studying of the game and the chess match. Loved all of it. Okay, I'm not trying to but I think that Shaq brings us different qualities that
Mhm.
Ray did, that Ray
Mhm.
Lewis didn't bring. You know what I mean? So
But Ray Lewis did it year after year for
Yeah.
how long? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
But and like you said, so we're just not. It's not that we don't have the right pieces, because I
Mhm.
honestly believe that with health and guys, I'm telling you right now, Nick Cross, 3 years from now, along with Blackman and along with the guys, man, this defense is then we can start looking at it and say, is this the 2000 Ravens? Maybe, you know what I mean? But yeah, like you said, I'm a Colts loyalist, but that Ravens defense was nasty for every team it played.
Oh my goodness. All right, Denver. What player do you think takes a step back this year? I know that we all want positive, but there's always a surprise, and not very often do people ask you who's going to step backwards. So that's a very interesting question, Denver, and that's keeping us honest with ourselves. Honestly,
Mhm.
well, let's get that out there right now. Guys who could take a step back is interesting. I hate to say it, Okereke could take a step back playing the will linebacker position. He led the team in tackles last year. Did very well overall, but the Will and the Mike are two different monsters, right?
Mhm.
And at Mike, you are in a position to be around the ball way more often than you are when you're playing the Will linebacker position, which is why I think they moved, the Maniac to the Mike, because on top of that, Mike, is the guy who generally is calling the plays out there, getting everybody set. So honestly, Okereke could take a step back this year. Not that he's going to play worse. It's just his position is going to set that about him, I think.
Okay. And for me, I look at the offense, because quite honestly, this defense, I mean, I just don't see, outside of Bobby, like you said, I don't see a lot of regression. But on the offensive side, I think I think his numbers are going to fall down a little bit, but it's not because he's performing poorly or anything. It's just the way the offense is going to be more spread out and open. But I also think that you could look at Patman, some of the later fringe receivers and stuff. I honestly see that they may have a really hard time even making the 53, whereas last year they did, because, I mean, Kwity Paye has been playing lights out now for a week and a half. Paris Campbell, which he was last training camp also. But then you sit there and you look at Naheem Hines is going to get more reps, more chances to catch the pass. And then not to mention Ashton Doolin, he is coming out with, oh yeah, I'll do that special team thing for you, but I want you guys to think of me as a wide receiver. He's honestly putting that 2, 3, and 4 combination of receivers at a really, really interesting. And the thing is I feel like with that, it's not that the offense is going to take a step. I think it's everybody's going to be elevated. And we talked about that, earlier in the season. Matt Ryan is going to elevate these guys. But the thing is I'll tell you right now, Ashton Doolin has come to play this year. And he's like, I want you guys, he's like, I don't want any of these short-term contracts.
Absolutely, man. Hey guys, first off, TJ Joe with a $10 dono through Super Chat. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. The question here is, yeah, I am excited for this season to start. But I'm also going to be kind of cautious when it comes to it. I want to see the preseason games. I'm one of those guys, as much as I want us to go out there week 1 and just obliterate the Houston Texans 56-3. I want to see that. But I want to see progression through the preseason games as well. This preseason game against Buffalo is huge.
Perfect team to have to play again. Yeah,
exactly.
Because of depth.
Well, they have great depth, and they've got a little chip on their shoulder. Don't you think that they don't after last year when we took them behind the woodshed and gave them a whooping? I mean, they're a little upset about that. I'll guarantee it. So this is a good one to actually start this preseason off with.
Yeah, I honestly, at first I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, I like Buffalo, and then I'm like, but then you sit there and you look at that the following week with the Lions. I don't think that that's going to be anything to sneeze at, But the thing is, man, can you imagine the depth that the Bills offer? Okay, we stay healthy. Okay, we're going to be playing, even if they didn't start a lot of their starters, their level 2 and 3 guys are going to be better than a lot of teams level 2 guys, because the Bills are very similar to us. I mean, I have mad respect for that organization and the team that they've built. That roster is deep. They're not just big names at the starters. They've got very good quality talent 2 and 3 deep, and that's where it's like that's what you want to see. And the thing is this year, we'll get to actually see quarterback play because Ellinger has been playing better. Cohn's a very accurate. If I got to stay out of the sun so long. Foles, if Foles gets any reps, he's. I mean, the accuracy that these guys offer that we probably were lacking in, because Ellinger was inaccurate and went to the run a lot last year. I don't think that's going to be as much this year. So we're going to get to see more reps from the deeper receiver core. And then, like you said, or like I've been saying, that D-line guys, I'm telling you right now, I think Ballard's going to have a hard time finding 8. I think he's going to be like, I got 10 guys I really like on this D-line. I mean, that interior D-line I was like, okay, where are we at with that? And now you're starting to see where these guys are shining really, really nicely. And the thing is you get that, and it's just going to make it a long day for that quarterback. And that is the name of the game.
10 guys on that defensive line will make a 53-man roster this year.
Okay.
Now, I said make a 53-man roster,
okay.
Right? If he cuts 1 or 2 guys off those top 10, those 2 guys will make another team. They will be picked up and dropped on somebody. You're right. We have incredibly good depth and talent on that D line this year. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fully 100% agree.
I love what Pierce and Jelani Woods and Ogletree, but I'll tell you right now, for me, the most steadiest, outstanding players are the younger guys that we brought in on that interior D line. I mean, Eric Johnson and Cincy guy, Brooks. These guys have been in there, and it's not just a little flash here. No, it's flash here. Few reps later, boom. Oh wow, did you see that? There is a lot of interesting pieces on that D line, and I got to believe Ollie's just going, oh, this is better than I thought it was going to be.
Yep. Oops. There we go. Jason David. Interesting question. Bills versus Colts in the playoffs. Who wins? Will it be Bills versus Packers in the Super Bowl? I don't have the Packers making the Super Bowl. I got the Packers making the playoffs, but I don't have them making the Super Bowl. I do have the Bills making the Super Bowl. Okay. Now, depending upon that's the pick that I made right after the draft. Okay. Subject to change depending upon what I see through the 3 weeks of preseason, especially with my team, because I like what I'm seeing from my team. I just need to see a little bit more development in certain areas, right? But right now I have, and a lot of you probably look at me, I see Bills and Rams again. I see the Rams making it. I called Bills and Rams last year, and I was a coin flip away from that, honestly, because I think the Bills would have smothered the Bengals in the AFC Championship, and then they would have made the Super Bowl. But that's hypothetical. I got the Bills making the Super Bowl this year so far, and I've got Josh Allen making MVP. But what are your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I will just chase to the end real quick, and then I'll explain. Yes, I like the Bills-Rams pick still. Okay, because here's the thing, guys. Yes, Matt Pryor's been balling out, but he's still not been out there playing that left tackle position. And look at some of the DNs that he has to play against this year, okay? It's not an easy road, okay? Then you got Danny Pinter. We all think Danny Pinter is going to be great, okay? We think that right guard. And I really still firmly believe that. That's not – but the thing is prove it. That's got to be proven. We don't have Josh Williams back there who can break 6 tackles and run the ball. Matt Ryan can break some tackles, but let's not put him in that spot. So there's just certain things that tampering the expectations, and like you said, there's still some timing issues and stuff that we see with the quarterbacks to the receivers that the Bills probably aren't dealing with. So there are certain things that right now, and then you factor in health, we all know, that 1 or 2 players goes down for either team, and automatically that changes the narrative all the way around. So there's a lot, but just initially looking at the rosters, looking at the path that they have to go, I do like the Bills Rams for the Super Bowl.
Skyler and Kirsten, do you see Pierce or Campbell coming out this year as a bona fide number 1? Love Pittman, but I don't see it from him. He's more of a top-notch 2 or low-end 1. I completely and utterly disagree with you. I think when it comes to skill and ability, I think Paris Campbell is number 1 on our team. I see him as a 1,400-plus yard wide receiver if he was on a team that didn't have a Michael Pittman Jr., a guy that does 50-50. He's the guy that can chew up a ton of yards between the 20s. Okay. And I feel like he's the most polished. It's just, he's injured and we haven't been able to see, he ain't been able to get on the field and do a lot. Now look, in saying this, am I dissing Alec Pierce? No, but Pierce is a rookie. He still has a few things he's got to work on, right? There's a little bit of a route running issue that he's got. There's still a little bit of him telegraphing what he's doing during his routes to the cornerbacks, right? That Reggie Wayne is still working on. Could he get all that polished up, before the season or during mid-season or whatnot? Absolutely. Absolutely. Scary. If our wide receiving core stays healthy the entire year, it's going to get ugly for any team that the Colts play against. I promise you. We'll have 6,000 offensive yards easily. Offensive. I'm saying passing and rushing together.
Mm-hmm.
Easily 6,000 yards. Probably pushing 7,000, right? As a total offense. And that's saying something. But obviously, like you said earlier, that injury, somebody gets hurt. Always somebody. There's just, I hope it's not Paris this year, to be honest with you, because the man has went out there and put so much heart and soul and coming back, and always, you see him out there at training camp smiling and dancing and trying to keep, a positive attitude about things all the time. And he needs a good season under his belt.
Yeah, and it's like he went down yesterday or Monday with a hammy, and I was just like, oh man, but the thing was he sat there and he today he was out there moving perfectly fine. And I'll be honest with you, I have a hard time with this wide receiver 1 narrative because there's your big bodied receiver, you got your speed receiver. Is MPJ, Adams? No, but that's not his game. You know what I mean? But is he going to be a guy that you can count on 3rd and 6? Absolutely. Is he a guy that you can sit there and say, hey, we need a play. We're down by 8 and we're got a minute and 12 seconds. He's a guy that you can sit there and have stretch that field also and then do that 50-50 ball. You know what I mean? And the thing is we all know you got 50-50 on whether he catches it, and then you sit there and MPJ, I give him an extra 10% for catching it, and then you factor in the pass interference call and stuff. So to me, a wide receiver 1 it just doesn't exist, okay? Unless you're just a one-dimensional team. But that's what we are not. We are a team that our biggest advantage is going to be all the different avenues that we can beat you, whether it's Nyheim Hines, Alec Pierce, Ogletree, Mo Alley Cox, JT. There's just so many weapons on this offense that if Matt Ryan, and we always hear the coach talk about, get the offense rolling, get that rhythm going. if this offense catches its rhythm early and often in this season, the NFL defenses, I don't care how stacked they are, they're going to have a puzzle that they're going to have a hard time solving.
So GK brings up a good question. I was just talking about it with a friend. Do you think the Colts roster 5 receivers and 4 tight ends this year? And who's your running back 3? I feel like it's Jackson over Lindsey. Okay, first off, what I'm looking at, that's the 5 wide receivers, 4 tight ends is a very high probability. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right now. And you talk about Jackson over Lindsey. The only way that happens is if Lindsey utterly refuses to play special teams. Because Lindsey right now, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsey looks pretty good as a running back. RB3 technically, but we all know how Frank Reich and them like to make sure that third running back is a special teams guy, right?
Yeah. And the thing is I agree completely. Lindsey, his best years were behind this blocking scheme. Okay, he came into this thing, and you didn't see the wandering eyes. You didn't see any problems with him finding the hole and exposing it right away. Other than the fact that the holes aren't really there right now, which that's the defense. And the thing is about the 5 wide receiver, 4 tight ends. It's like you got other pieces. How many D line do you keep? You know what I mean? There's other things that factor into that, and I believe yes, because of the amount of different types of wide receivers, it's going to be 5 or 6. I'm not sold on 4 tight ends. I was going into this really early on, but honestly, because if you're going with 4 tight ends, you're going with Mo Alley Cox, a second-year tight end, and then everybody else is just. I'm not trying to slight what Ogletree's been doing or Jelani's been doing or number 49, I forget his name, Jacobson. He's another tight end that's been flashy. These guys have all had their moments, but the thing is you know what? They're not going to be what I saw from Kiki Kuti or Ashton Doolin or Paris Campbell. So there again, I was more sold on 4 tight ends going into the beginning of this, but now that I've seen these guys and it just. Do you really want to sit there and have that much rookies, lack of experience at that position, and that really for me boils down to, can these guys block? Can Ogletree, can Jelani get this blocking down? And I would say that Ogletree's actually got the lead in the blocking also over Jelani. But there again, it's so early, guys. And honestly, we're constantly seeing all these pieces moving and mixing, which I understand. But to sit there and say right now, what are we going to see later on in 3 weeks from now? There's injuries, there's still more practices. I think we're going to learn a lot next week in the shared training camps with the Lions.
Okay, the only pushback I'm going to have on that is it'll be easier to slide one of our wide receivers onto the practice squad than either of those rookies. Yeah. Rookie tight ends, Ogletree and Jelani's a 3rd-round pick. We release him, he's getting picked up. Ogletree has been blown up by media, not just local, national media, on what he's been doing at training camp this past week, which means other teams have their eye and scope on him in case something happens. So I don't think that Frank Reich or Chris Ballard would cut him, either one of those guys, because I think they know they would not be able to get him on the practice squad. That's why I think we keep 4 tight ends.
Okay. And like I said, right now it's just so early in this thing. And because like you said, Ogletree and Jelani, if they go out and they put up some really good film, now all of a sudden, like you said, not only are they doing it in camp, which I understand that's something that we glean from, but it's still not game conditions. Let's see how they perform whenever it's live bullets and stuff.
Marquis Beverly says, fellas, my wife's a Rams fan. She just heard that compliment and said that she appreciates that. Dude, I said the Rams last year. All right, you tell your wife that last year, as soon as the Rams went and got Matt Stafford, I said they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl. And I was right. All right. And I stuck to it the entire offseason,
Yeah.
the whole season, through playoffs. I said that's the Super Bowl winners right there. You know? So yeah. Guys, it's about that time to end. I appreciate all you guys. Went to Colts. Hey, what's up, Tom? What's going on? Appreciate you being in here. Got another season ticket holder in here, right? Went to the Colts camp today and saw the funniest thing. Jelani standing next to Naheem Hines. Yeah, that's funny. Now Jelani. Now the funny thing is when I was interviewing on Sunday, and I'm like, all right, I'm recording Jelani Woods talking, and then Isaiah Rodgers comes in, and I had to move my camera way down like that, you know. And even Isaiah Rodgers was joking out about that. He's like, that's funny. But hey, guys, inside the Horseshoe podcast, they even says, you know, he'd be shocked if we don't keep 4 tight ends, and that's just mainly because it'd be difficult to get them on the practice squad, I think. Brian says, I really think Jelani would be a year 2 breakout. That's a good possibility since he's only got a year and a half as a tight end under his belt anyhow. Yeah. Right. I mean, he was a quarterback before then. So guys, please, over 40 of you in here, please smash that like button, man. It helps us out a ton. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that like, tag the notification bells, make sure all notification is turned on so that you don't miss anything. And we're going to be leaving here, and in an hour, I'm going to be doing my Patreon. Okay. If you guys ain't part of Patreon, link is in the description. $5 a month. You can join every Thursday. We sit down and do Patreon hangout. All right. You could either watch it here on YouTube, or you could join with your phone. I don't care. You know, just come in, say hi, hang out. Plus a bunch of other stuff. Loyalist, you want to say something about the Patreon?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was going to say, because we do that, like you said, every Thursday. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive content guys, I'm cheap. I am the king of cheap. My wife tells me but I am telling you right now, this would be the best $5 you spend, because Lawrence does a real good job of making sure that he keeps engaged. You know, it's not a Patreon that you just sit there and like, oh, you know, and you get a little something once a week. No, you get all the behind the scenes between him and Gerard Powers. You get, you know, all the pre and stuff, which is really, I'm telling you right now, sometimes you get some really good nuggets from that part of it. Not to say that you don't from the believe in the show itself, but there's some interesting little nuggets and stuff, you know. And in our Discord, you know, I've been trying to talk to a lot of people there at camp and stuff about, I mean, great collective of humans. I mean, you know, you have different age groups, you've got different mentality, different teams supported. Just guys, check it out. 1 month. If you decide you don't like it, it's a, you know, something that you commit to 1 month and it's gone the next. But I'm telling you right now, I think you guys will have a good time. I know we all do.
All right. I think that's going to do us for now. Appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That is Colts Loyalist. And as usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
Yeah, I said 7,000 yards offense this year. Yeah, that's well possible. Watch. Just watch.